You're listening to The Foundation of Wellness, a refreshing take on diet and lifestyle. Join me, Marisa Moon, as we tackle modern health with innovative and ancient principles. I'm a certified primal health coach and intermittent fasting instructor at marisamoon.com. Hey there, it's me, Marisa, and it's been a couple exciting weeks over here. Today, you're going to hear from the registered dietitian who eliminated her chronic headaches after having brain surgery to remove a tumor, and then she started implementing fasting into her life to help her get off of those medications for her headaches and heal on a cellular level. Her name is Susannah Juteau, and she's the host of the Fasting for Freedom Summit, which starts the first week of March. I'm so excited for you to get your hands on all of this amazing free information. Yesterday, she interviewed me for the summit. I'm talking about fasting for mental energy and ADHD. It was pretty awesome. I got to say, we really got into the swing of things. It's some of my best work yet, and I can't wait to get the word out because it's amazing when you look at the science, the things that we know about fasting and the things that we know about ADHD and just how the brain works on a cellular level. We can see how beneficial a break from eating can really be for your brain to thrive. I'm so excited for you to check it out. You can register for this summit. I'm with 20 other female fasting experts. Go to my link. It's bit.ly/Marisa Moon, and that's capital M Marisa and capital M for Moon because it is case sensitive. Go ahead and click the link in the show notes if you need it. Now, last week was also exciting because, real quick, I just want to tell you, I met with Dr. Sam Afara, a psychologist in Chicago that specializes in brain mapping. He works with athletes, people with learning disabilities, ADHD, you name it. He does neurofeedback and all sorts of brain training to help people maximize the productivity and connections in their brain. And I asked Dr. Sam to help me by doing a brain mapping session while I'm fasting and another brain mapping session after I broke my fast. So he did that, and we see some pretty amazing results here. And I told him he's got to come on the show to explain it to you because I'm not even going to begin to try. This is like a whole new world for me. I don't know anything about the brain waves, and he does. He's an expert at this. If you want to learn more about Dr. Sam, he just started an Instagram page. It's at sam.afara. His last name is EFFARAH. Again, that'll be in the show notes. And he's opening a new Chicago location soon for this type of service. So I'm really excited for you to meet with him if you are in the Chicago area and you're interested in learning more about how your unique brain works. Today's guest, Susannah Juteau, is an avid traveler. She's also a mother, and she loves game nights with her husband, competing in sports. She has 2 young girls growing up to be best friends. And after a 10-hour brain surgery in 2013, Susannah suffered from constant debilitating headaches for 5 years until she discovered fasting. Within 8 weeks, she was able to be medication-free and essentially cured. Susannah holds a bachelor's degree in neuroscience and a master's degree in nutrition and dietetics. As a registered dietitian, she advocates against the traditional eating paradigm and helps women regain energy, confidence, and vitality. You can find out more about her on her website, fastwithfacts.com. Let's do it. Susannah, it's so wonderful to have you on the show. Thanks for being here.
And thank you for having me here. It's great
You're
to
welcome.
connect with you over and over. It's perfect.
Yeah, this is a great time to do it because you are working on some exciting stuff. And that's how I knew this is just the perfect time. So why don't you talk to us about where you got the idea for the Fasting for Freedom Summit and just go for it.
Okay. Well, I've been wanting to do a summit on fasting, particularly for females, for a while now, because in the fall, I kind of did a test summit, I guess is probably the best way to put it. I did a summit about mindset, and I interviewed, I think it was like 27 experts on mindset, and it was just such a great experience. But my real passion is around fasting. Come January, I was like, let's just do it. Let's get going. and start connecting with people. And the idea behind it is to talk about all of the benefits of fasting that don't necessarily have to do with weight loss, because as a dietitian, I have women coming to me all the time looking for weight loss and focused on the fasting for weight loss. And they're often feeling kind of discouraged if, hey, it's been 2 weeks and I haven't lost any weight. It's been a month, I haven't lost any weight. And I really find when people connect to the other benefits, or connect to even one major benefit in their life that has nothing to do with weight, that when they're focused on that the weight comes off as like a secondary benefit rather than the focus. So that's why I wanted to do a summit all around the benefits of fasting, because there's so many. I could do 100 interviews on a different benefit each time. So it's fascinating.
That's true. And a lot of us are looking for this like immediate gratification, and we're used to maybe weighing ourselves every week or every day.
Yeah.
And we're looking at the scale. Like, I actually gained a pound this week. I've heard that from so many clients, and I'm like, not weighing ourselves this week. And there's a lot of metabolic shifts that happen when you first start fasting. So to look there first for your results often means you're missing the other things that are right there in front of you. And without measuring, like if you're not looking for it, you don't find it. So you don't realize, wow, I've been thinking more clearly, especially if you've been, you just feel normal, whereas before you were feeling crappy. I always tell people, like, if you just start feeling normal, you don't notice it because you feel normal.
Right. Exactly. It's like all of a sudden when you're paying attention to some of those little things, it's like, oh, I don't need a nap in the afternoon anymore. Or, oh, I just feel like so refreshed, or I'm sleeping so much better. It's all these like subtle things that start gaining momentum and just like building on each other, and all of a sudden you're getting more and more benefits as you go along. And I hear even from people who have been fasting for 5 years that they're discovering like new benefits for their body, and it's just a continuing process that we get to build on. I think so many women especially are used to different diets where they see that instant gratification, where it's like they can lose weight really quickly on it. But fasting is just so much about creating a lifestyle that's sustainable and fits in with how you like to live your life, and finding that place where it's like, okay, this is perfect. This like feels manageable, and this is what I want to do for the rest of life, whether I lose weight or not. So my goal is always to get people to that point where they just enjoy it for all of the benefits that don't have to do with weight loss.
What are some of your favorite benefits that you've been learning so far interviewing all these experts?
Yeah. Oh man, we have talked about so many things. We've had some just really interesting ones that I haven't even thought about before. So for instance, I interviewed Chantel Ray, and she was talking about the spiritual side of fasting. Just hearing about all of the passages in the Bible that encourage us to fast, and how it's just beneficial overall to connect with spirituality. And like, I'm not a super religious, but having that, just connecting to the spiritual side of things, like that feeling of emptiness in the stomach that can be filled with like just being more cognizant of your body and how it's feeling, and feeling, for a lot of people, filling that with spirituality is amazing. So that talk was really interesting. Jen Stevens, we talked about kind of the importance of the adjustment phase, and just how fasting really sets you free from the weight struggle, because you're focusing on the benefits, and you're no longer counting calories or focused on restricting certain foods. It's really just about what is it that you want to achieve in life, and setting your own plan rather than I have to follow this specific plan.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's
then
powerful stuff. I mean, I know Jen has helped so many women lose incredible amounts of weight, and her own story is very captivating in that way. And because of that, she's literally coaching thousands of people, asking her every question like under the sun, and she has to give them rules and guidelines. And then sometimes people just get too caught up in that they forget, if they don't make this their own, if they don't find the intuition and flexibility needed to sustain it, they might crash and they might find it unsustainable. And Jen, I think, does a good job of showing both sides of the spectrum, because you really can create an incredible change, but only until it's something that you enjoy and feels right for you can it be something that lasts forever.
Exactly. Exactly. Because Jen just has such a huge community that she's helping, and so many moderators and everything. And I really like her style, where she's just out there to really help and assist. And she was able to lose such a significant amount of weight that I find she's a really great person for that. And then many speakers would talk about gut health, how fasting just really helps out our microbiome, and of course the gut and the brain, and everything is just so connected. So tying some of those different connection pieces together, fasting on the mitochondria, how just allowing the mitochondria to function the way that they're meant to be, and giving our bodies that break just allows our mitochondria to be stronger, rejuvenates all of our cells. And it's really interesting talking to all of the experts, because everyone comes at fasting from a different angle, either different protocols that they promote, or really focused on the food aspect, which is, of course, very important to me as a dietitian. Some will speak at a high level, and then others going really deep into the cellular level of kind of how fasting is working. So I love the fact that a summit just covers that whole spectrum, and that we can learn something from every speaker. Let's see, some of the others, fasting for menopause, like getting through menopause symptoms, fasting for the aging woman, which is kind of in some ways along the same lines, but in reality, you're aging no matter what age you are. So that was with Diane Parham. And as she pointed out, it's whenever there's a hormone shift. So even as teenagers, we're aging because we're going through different hormone shifts. So that was a really interesting talk. Prevention of cancer. That's another topic that I didn't know anything about. So yeah.
Amazing. I know
did you already tell your speakers about what you talked about as well?
I didn't even really get into it yet on the show, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it next week. But we had a great talk yesterday, Susannah and I got into how fasting helps to preserve and really utilize energy in the brain in a way that can impact someone with ADHD or brain fog, or anyone lacking with mental clarity. And we covered a lot in that half an hour. I think it ended up being a great episode. Was there anything you took away from that really stuck with you?
The part about figuring it out for what works for you, and just really paying attention to okay, well, I need to eat quality foods on top of fasting regularly, and helping it really incorporate it into our lives. But just the benefit on the brain, and hearing, I didn't know much about the ADHD brain, and I didn't realize that structurally it's different. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And that fasting can really make that difference. And I'm so curious to hear how your results change with your brain scans. That will be so cool.
I know. I'm going to have Dr. Samafara on the show, hopefully in March sometime. He's opening a new office, so I'll give him time to get settled. But I want him to come on the show to talk about my brain mapping results, because it's something I'm totally unfamiliar with. I'm not even going to try and explain. It would be best if we could hear it from him. We explored what it was like when my brain is in a fasted state and in a fed state. And he did 2 brain mapping sessions on me, that same day, so that we can compare the 2 states of mind. And there are significant differences. So it's not all in my head. I mean, it's all in my head, but it's not all in my head.
It's all in there somewhere, but yeah, you're not imagining anything.
Well, I don't think there's anyone that has a more incredible story than you, Susannah. So let's not waste any more time. And please tell us how fasting became a part of your life.
Yeah, well, where to start? So 6 I guess it's 6.5 years ago now, I had brain surgery because I had a benign brain tumor about the size of a ping pong ball that was pushing on my brain stem, which is the life center. So as soon as they discovered it, it was like really quick, right to surgery. And so afterwards, the recovery from that surgery was very long, very hard on the mind because I just wasn't able to function the way I used to. A lot of it was just needing time to recover from surgery. But even once I had given it that time and returned to work, I just had daily constant headaches that were very debilitating. I would get through like the workday, but just collapse when I'd get home. Could barely walk home after work, and just everything was so draining.
Wow.
And I eventually found medication that could control the headaches, so that I wasn't having the constant daily headaches. I was still often having daily headaches, but it just wasn't as constant anymore. So I had the headaches under control for about 5 years. So I was on that headache medication for 5 years. And with every year, things like definitely improved. Just recovery wise, I was able to function a bit longer at work and not collapse at home after a while and stuff. But the headaches were still there. And having to take medication every day was always like, I don't know, an annoyance. Like I felt like there had to be a reason why I needed the medication. And whenever I talked to the doctors or my neurosurgeon about it, they would just say like, well, we've taken out the tumor. There's no reason to have headaches anymore. And that was the only thing they would tell me. It's like, oh, well, you shouldn't be having them. And it's like, well, okay, but I am having them. So, and they'd say, okay, well, try this med. And so it's just kind of always a frustrating thing.
I just want to ask if you're willing to share the type of medication you were taking.
Okay, well, I'm really bad at remembering medication names. I know it was amitriptyline.
Okay.
And I can't remember the other one.
That was the one for headaches, though.
Yeah. Okay. So in the past, that medication used to be for depression, but in more recent years, they've changed it and realized it helps with medications a lot more. I mean, for headaches a lot more. So it's no longer. I don't even think it's safe as a drug for depression anymore. But they use it for headaches. So yeah.
So you started looking for your own answers?
Started looking for my own answers. And then at the same time, I was really struggling with fatigue. I had 2 kids by this point. So I just always attributed it to like, oh, it's because I have young kids and I'm not sleeping through the night and stuff like that. But really, there is a much better answer than that. And as past clients or friends, they kept asking me about intermittent fasting. And at first I was like, no, we're supposed to eat every 3 to 4 hours. Like, that's not safe. You're going to lose your muscle mass and stuff like that. And as people asked me about it, I was like, well, I better look into the research. This is clearly a thing that a lot of people are curious about. So I dove deep into the research, like really read every paper I could because I wanted to make sure that one, that it was safe for women, and that the research was compelling enough for me to recommend it to people. And of course, like I just found benefit after benefit. And as much as the science is still new, it's also been around for centuries. So we would have known by now if it wasn't safe. So even though we don't have these massive trials of thousands of people, we know that it's safe because it's
time
been
tested
in religion since the age of time. And I mean, our ancestors had to feast and fast. So then I applied it to my own life. And I had this glimmer of hope because just hearing from different experiences that people have been able to get off medications, and usually it was medications for other things, but I had this glimmer of hope that maybe my headaches could be fixed, I guess. And so I started off with 16-8, and it didn't do anything for me. So I increased my fasting to 24-hour fasts twice a week. And it was a very, very quick progression into improving. So within 4 weeks, I was able to cut my medications in half. And within 8 weeks, I was off all medications completely.
That's fast.
I know, very fast. And I've been off them since. Like, I probably get a headache like 3 or 4 times a year now. It's so rare. And so I feel like my brain is better than the average person now is my
Oh my gosh.
So.
What a triumph. Did you return to follow up with your doctors and tell them what was going on?
I have, but I've also so in that time I moved to the States, so I have new doctors now that I haven't been that great with following up with.
I was just wondering what they would say if you solved your problem with fasting. That must surprise them.
Yes, exactly. My true neurosurgeon who did all of the work, he was like, "Oh, well, that's interesting," and I could tell like he was like, "I need to go look at the research and see what's going on there." So yeah, so it is fascinating.
You might be changing more lives than you even realize, because
right.
That surgeon starts to realize the benefits of fasting for his patient's recovery, that could be a really big deal. Or even to pull off surgery. God, if that could ever be a possibility, that'd be amazing. Not in your case, but I mean in other cases.
In other cases, right. I really believe in that, like that the fasting community, that we're so open to sharing, so open to collaboration. Like the summit is a perfect example. All these women are on board sharing resources with each other and all there to really serve the community. And the idea is like, this is a really trickle down, like you affect one person and then their family is affected and then the next generation is affected. And everyone talks about the benefits that they've experienced. And we hear a lot about the weight loss benefits, but there's all of these other benefits that are just astronomical and really life-changing for people. So it's just such an exciting time and such an exciting place to be able to talk about all of those benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure people are wondering a little bit more about the fasting routines that you adopted. Can you first explain what you meant by 16-8 and then explain what your 24-hour fasting routine was like?
Yeah, for sure. So the 16-8 is, I'd say, probably the most popular fasting protocol, which is fasting for 16 hours a day and then eating in an 8-hour window. So for instance, just delaying your breakfast till 10 a.m. and then finishing your last meal by 6 p.m. So that's probably where most people get started with fasting, in that it's not too hard to kind of just delay your food and kind of pinch up that window a little bit. And many people see benefits just from doing that. And then because I wasn't quite seeing the benefit from that, I felt like a longer fast would be more beneficial for me because I'd be in ketosis for longer. And also I'd kick up the autophagy a notch. So for me, especially, the autophagy is really important for the cell rejuvenation, cleaning up toxins from my cells, especially the powerful effect on the neurons. So that's where I attribute the success to getting off the medication and healing the headaches, is really to the autophagy process. So I switched to the 24-hour fast. So the way that looks like is I stop eating after supper on Sunday and I wait until supper on Monday to eat. So I don't go a day without food, but there is a longer period where I'm not eating, just to get to hit that ketosis state. And what else did I want to say there?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the point that you were eating every day, because even my husband and I were talking about the other day, he didn't realize it takes a lot of us a second to realize this. 24-hour fast does not mean you're skipping an entire day. That's a 36-hour fast. So you get to eat dinner every night if that's the fasting that you choose, or you get to eat breakfast every day if that's the fasting protocol you choose. You just don't eat anything between that meal the following day until the following day. So
Uh-huh.
you said you might eat dinner Sunday night and then you wait to eat dinner until Monday night. You don't eat anything else on Monday until it's dinner time. And you do
Exactly.
that twice a week, you said?
I do that twice a week. So every Monday and Thursday. And then the other days of the week are just completely flexible. I don't think about the time at all. I just focus on hunger. So I no longer eat as soon as I wake up as I used to in the past, but I eat once I'm hungry, and I stop eating after the supper meal. Whereas in the past I used to snack until have a little something after supper. Oh, it's almost bedtime. Like, let's eat something. So I've just stopped the snacking in between meals as well, and find that really beneficial.
How has that worked out being a mother? Because I know you have to prepare foods for your kids. And I always tell my clients it's hard to keep fasting when you're making food for other people or you're around food.
Yeah. So for me, it's really easy because I'm connected to that benefit of like, for me, it's not an option. Like, I don't want to be on medication. So for me, it's really easy. I can prepare food for them all day, and it doesn't bother me at all. And also, I think because now I've been fasting for a year and a half, that preparing food wouldn't bother me either. Whereas maybe at the beginning, I'd feel a bit more deprived and say like, oh, I want to be eating as well. And also because I do it on Mondays and Thursdays, it's easy because they're in preschool. So my girls are 4 and 2, so they're in preschool right now. And I think it might be a bit different if I was at home with them, just because in a way, like, eating is like, as a mother, it's just like, okay, it's a coping mechanism. So it's not the best coping mechanism, but when it's a really hectic day with the kids, then you kind of want to just like have a nice lunch with them, or like switch things up. So it would be different if I was a stay-at-home mom. But as soon as kids are school age, then I think that pattern is pretty easy to do. And it, like, things can really change depending on what stage of life you're in. So even if someone is a stay-at-home mom, or homeschooling, or whatever the choice is there, it's just doing a 12-hour fast every day is totally manageable. That's what most kids do, is 12 hours. And just starting there and doing what you can, because it can look different from one year to the next.
Yeah, great advice. And you mentioned autophagy a couple times, so I'd like for you to tell our listeners briefly what that is and why it's so important to you.
Yeah, so autophagy is the cell cleaning process. So when you're in a fasted state where you're not digesting food, you're not secreting insulin to digest that food, then your body can focus on repair. It can focus on other things than digestion. So it goes into this state of autophagy where it's cleaning out the cells. It's kind of like getting rid of different toxins. It's getting rid of parts of the cell that maybe aren't functioning well, and just kind of rejuvenating the cells. If a cell is completely not functional, then it's getting rid of that cell completely. But it's just that autophagy stands for, or means, self-eating. So it's the cells just like eating itself, or fixing itself up, and it's allowing our bodies to have that time to really repair.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the most captivating explanations involved in autophagy is that those parts of the cell that are broken down are then utilized to feed stronger, newer cells. And that's why we don't need the food. In fact, if you eat, you turn off autophagy. So autophagy is self-eating because our cells are feeding each other. And that's one of the most amazing reasons why people who lose a lot of weight on fasting do not have that loose skin, because the body breaks down all of those old junky proteins, which would normally turn out as loose skin on other weight loss diets, and instead uses those junky proteins to feed stronger, newer skin cells and muscle cells and things, so that you don't end up looking like someone with all of that excess skin. It's pretty incredible.
Absolutely.
Autophagy is amazing.
Yeah, and actually, we talked about that on one of the interviews with Megan Ramos, that she was talking about like the benefits of some longer fasts, and for therapeutic purposes, she was really focused on colitis and overcoming like IBS symptoms, and how the fasting protocol to achieve the best results would look a little bit different. So that was an interesting talk, but she was really commenting about like, well, with the loose skin and stuff, it's not as much of a problem with if you're fasting, because one is a slower weight loss, and then the autophagy process as well. She went into that. So that's cool. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Well, there are so many incredible applications for fasting, but I really do believe it should be a part of nearly everybody's life. And your summit's going to help get that message out. I'm so happy you're doing it, and I was thrilled to be a part of it. So get excited, people. It's March 2nd, 2020, and we will be sure to get that in your hands if you go ahead and register with the link in our bio. It is thefastingresetsummit.com. But you can use my link. I'd appreciate the affiliate link is bit.ly/Marisa Moon. That's capital M on my first name and last name. Both of those links will be in the show notes. So if you'd like to leave us with anything else, Susannah, please feel free and tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, and just a quick comment. You said Fasting Reset Summit, which was the last summit that you were on. But it's called Fasting for Freedom, but your link was correct. So as long as they follow
How did you resist interrupting me on that one? Okay, everyone, this one is Fasting for Freedom. It's different. It's all female experts, and you're going to get 48 hours to listen to your favorite people. There's more time. This is going over 11 days. There's 2 speakers per day. This is totally manageable, and it's going to work for your life. If you want to take in this information, we're going to make it easy for you. Thanks, Susannah.
Exactly. And thank you for making that point about the 48 hours, because I really want this to be a free summit for everyone, where they have ample time to listen to everyone's interview, just because the information is amazing, and I want everyone to really benefit from it. So that's why I'm putting up the interviews for 48 hours each, so that there is a lot of time. And the reason why it's not longer than that, because we're all so busy that it's really easy to say, okay, I'll do it next week. And then all of it is forgotten about. So that's why there is a time limit. But I feel like the 48 hours is kind of a good, so that everyone's just kind of thinking about it every day. It's like, oh yeah, I want to listen to my 2 interviews today. And as for finding me, I think probably the best place these days is on Instagram, just Fast with Facts. Well, you can search Fast with Facts, but my actual handle is fast_facts_RD. But just searching Fast with Facts will lead you to me.
And we'll put it in the show notes. I'll put your website there too. You have really great infographics on your Instagram. I think that is a great place to lead people. So be sure to check out Susannah's Instagram page. And thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited about March.
I know. I can't wait. It's coming up soon.
Okay. Bye, Susannah.
Thank you, Marisa. Bye.
Bye. We hope you're excited about joining us in this impactful summit with all female presenters. And there's content there for everyone, male or female alike. That link to register for free again is bit.ly/Marisa Moon, MarisaMoon. And you got to capitalize my first and last name because it is case sensitive. And by registering, you'll be notified with the speaker lineup and the schedule that begins March 2nd. And every 48 hours, you'll get access to 2 new speaker interviews and all different topics on fasting. If you're ready to start fasting right now, you can grab my free fasting guide that I call the Reset Manual for long-term intermittent fasting results, which is great for beginners too. And it comes along with all sorts of coaching from me to your inbox, and you can download it at marisamoon.com/iffreedom. I think you'll love it because I'm getting some really great feedback from people using it already. I'm proud of this work. Next week, I'm getting into my reset method so you can learn how I teach fasting to my subscribers and clients today. So I'm going to really dive into what that manual is. So it's a great time for you to grab it so you can be prepared for next week's episode. Be sure you're subscribed to our podcast by clicking the subscribe button on Apple Podcast or Spreaker, Stitcher, wherever you're listening to our show. There's usually a button where you can hit subscribe or follow, because when you subscribe, that means you'll automatically get the newest episodes added to your library in real time so that you never miss a new release from me or forget how much you love my show. Your support means the world to me. I will talk to you next week, and meanwhile, be sure you hop over to my Facebook group. It's called The Foundation of Wellness, like this show, a refreshing diet and lifestyle chat. That's at facebook.com/groups/FOW podcast. Bye.